This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Joining us this morning is the chairman of the NBA Garki branch in Abuja, Mr. Bamidele Ojo. Mr. Ojo, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me, sir.
Can you speak to us about the launch of the free legal services that the NBA has announced?
Well, the free legal services announced by the NBA president is to the effect that the NBA is poised to provide direction for the guidance of the society. To that effect, the NBA president, upon assumption of office, thought it wise to ensure that we live up to our responsibilities as the leading light of the society to provide legal services to members of the society who are facing some sort of injustice in whatever form and who are undergoing trial and cannot afford the services of a lawyer. So the NBA is taking the lead in this direction to ensure that we protect the rights of individuals across the country. Yes,
what can you tell us about the charges that they are facing? We see terrorism-related offences as what the news is calling it, but what can you tell us about what the charges that these protesters are facing?
Well, the charges that the protesters were charged with include treasonable felony, terrorism, and the like. Very serious offences. And it is in the light of this that the NBA president directed that services should be provided for these Nigerians in order to ensure that they are protected, they undergo proper trials, and they are given the best legal services in all the courts that will be charged before, to ensure that nobody is unjustly imprisoned or convicted for an offense which he or she did not commit. After all, Nigerians have a right to protest. So the interest of the NBA is to ensure that innocent protesters are not unduly punished for exercising their right to freedom of association and making their voice heard. On the other hand, we are aware that there were cases, very serious cases of vandalization, looting, and destruction of public property. Part of the job of the NBA is to ensure that those who went around destroying all public property, destroying properties of others, and looting people's shops and the rest of it, where the NBA is there to ensure that evidence is presented before the court to prove that people who committed this particular offense face the law. And if they are able to, the prosecution is able to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt, then, well, justice will take its course.
Right.
The basic reason why the NBA is doing this is to ensure that innocent citizens are not punished just for the reason that they came out to protest.
Very well. Then, to talk about the numbers of protesters, we are seeing that some 75 were remanded in prison when the arrest first happened, but 10 have been charged to court so far. Are these numbers accurate as far as the NBA knows?
Well, the NBA, we cannot really say the numbers are accurate. There were a lot of arbitrary arrests. On my own part, in my branch, I set up a situation room and I've received the reports of the committee. I'm aware that there were cases of random arrests by the law enforcement agents. In fact, there was a particular case of a lawyer who was just picked up. We had to intervene and we got to the police station, the central police station, where we found out that the DPO wasn't even aware. It was a patrol team that was led by another senior officer that carried out this arrest, and we ensured that the lawyer was released. The DPO of the Central Police Station in the Federal Capital Territory was quite helpful in that direction. So there were pockets of arbitrary and random arrests here and there. So we know that such cases came up. So that's part of why the NBA is involved in this, to be able to ascertain for real, to know the actual number of those who were arrested. There is the NBA president has also directed effective monitoring across the country of police stations. Lawyers are supposed to pay visits to different police stations to ensure that we are able to pick out particular the number of persons who were arrested for the protest and those who were remanded by magistrate courts across the country in prison custody for this protest.
So essentially, what the NBA has said is that this is to ensure that everyone who is facing a court case is treated fairly by the law. I wonder if it is possible to expound on the arrests, and I'm referring, of course, to the fact that the Constitution guarantees guarantees peaceful protests, the right to peacefully protest. In this particular case, are these arrests that we are seeing linked to the vandalism that was reported in different states, or were the numbers that we are seeing, or the protesters that we are seeing arrested, was it for the fact that they were out and about protesting?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, that we are aware that persons there, citizens, were arrested for protesting. There are people that were picked up just because they were found on the grounds of the protest. We have that information. We know that people that were picked up because they claimed they were protesters and they went out to protest. We are also aware that there were people that were picked up because they were found to have been involved in some acts of vandalism. So the NBA the leadership provided by the NBA president is to the fact that for whatever offense you were arrested for, or for whatever the police are claiming they arrested an individual for, we want to just ensure that everybody gets justice. Everybody gets substantial justice. Because under our laws, every accused person or every defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty by a competent court of law.
Right. Well, Mr. Ojo, thank you very much for your time and your expertise on this conversation. Bamidele Ojo is the chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Garki branch in Abuja, and he joined us to speak on the NBA's launch of free legal services to protesters who were arrested during the End Bad Governance protest nationwide.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.